Welcome to Shine, or Brilla. Vamos a brillar nuestra luz en el mundo. We're going to shine our light in the world. I'm Alejandra, I'm your host, and this is what we're going to do. We're just going to bridge the gap between bilingual cultures, aspectos culturales y multiculturales, just in the world bilingual world, en el mundo bilingüe. I want to bring awareness to this bilingual world because it's hard, man. Like thinking in English, speaking in Spanish, hablando español, hablando in English, and just like going back and forth. And sometimes you literally just don't know what to say or how to say it because it sounds better in Spanish or sounds better in English. And like, I don't know, there's so many things that as bilingual people, you just don't understand, or like people that is not bilingual will not understand. I have Victoria and Charles here, so that's why I'm just literally looking everywhere right now. Let's get it. I was bad at English. I didn't know English at all. So I didn't know English, and I actually started watching the OC, and that's why California is just such a big impact in my life, because I just started watching the OC, and that's how I learned English. Watching the OC. And then when I moved to the States when I was 20, I basically had to start talking English because back in Colombia I was in the lower levels, and then I watched the OC, so I had the knowledge that like in my brain, like, okay, yeah, this is English, blah 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 blah. But then like actually speaking it is like a whole different like sense of like confidence. So I actually had to use the English that I knew and get immersed in the culture for me to actually like get out of like be embarrassed or tener pena just to speak English or Spanish and like just not knowing what to say. So out of survival, I literally had to learn and just speak and just get out of my comfort zone to just start being a normal person in society. Because if I wouldn't step up and just talk, I would shrink in the back and just don't not. So anyways, and now I'm fluent in English, which is really crazy because I never thought that I was going to be fluent in English. And I'm not as scared of speaking. I'm not scared of speaking anymore anyways. But I was scared of speaking out and speaking out loud. I was really self-conscious with my accent. Super self-conscious of my accent, even though everybody said like, I didn't even think that you I didn't even know you didn't know Spanish or English. I was like, yeah, I'm fully Colombian. Or just me saying, I don't have an accent, and people be looking at me like, bro, you do have an accent. So those are the struggles sometimes that goes through my head of like, okay, let me just be fully American, but no, you're not, because you do have an accent. Or just let me be fully Colombian. No, because you also have an accent. So anyways, those are the other things. And it's crazy because sometimes like I feel fully Colombian, sometimes I feel fully American, and sometimes I feel not American at all, and sometimes I feel not Colombian at all, because it's like everything is just a mix of like, I'm fully here, I'm fully not here, but fully here and fully not here. It's just the same feeling of going home from home, or feeling far from home when you're home, or just going home when you're at home. So it's just crazy, because when I go to Colombia, I spend time with my family, and it's just so fun and so everything. But couple weeks in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just miss home. Or when I'm here in the States, it's like, oh my gosh, I love home, but I miss home so much. I miss like the warmth and my family and my people. It's just a really interesting world. It's just such an interesting world. So when I just moved here, my brain was thinking in Spanish as a whole. Like everything was in Spanish and needed to be translated to English for anything to come out of my mouth in English. And it was a process of literally getting comfortable with feeling dumb, tonta, or boa. And just literally stepping out and be like, okay, whatever's in my head, I'm going to say it wrong, but also it's going to be used or said or something. So in my brain, now it's fully English. That it's strange, because even when somebody comes to me and speaking Spanish in America, I cannot speak Spanish to that person without shifting the gears in my brain of like go back to Spanish, like go back to English. So my brain is so accustomed or like even bilingual right now that I can think in Spanish, but I be talking in English. And that's when my mouth and my brain sometimes is like literally just like stops working. So yeah, so now it's not as intense for me to not translate what I have to say, because now, like, I guess the language is there, like both languages are there. But at the beginning, it was just a challenge just to think what I was thinking in Spanish, then translate it in English, and then kind of say it in English, but also trying to not say it in Spanish with a good accent or not in a good accent. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be like laughed on, like people, you don't want people to like make fun of you just because you're saying something wrong. So it's that fear of like, man, like I'm gonna say this thing right, this thing wrong, and I just don't want people to make fun of me because you just moved here too. So it's like, oh, I don't want to be the weird guy or like weird girl and just say it right. But you're not saying it right because it's not your first language, and you still want it to be your first language. That is so. I feel that I never learned English like in a classroom or the apps or anything like that. So I feel that I feed from people. So words or phrases or stuff like that, I just kind of store it in the back of my head, and I just start saying whatever. Like Charles the other day was making fun of me because I started calling Tesla's Tessis, and he was like, "Oh, you're so hip now." But but it's like I just feed from people, and whatever people start saying, I just start saying it, just because I guess, like, one, you don't want to miss out on whatever is happening in culture, but also you're out of culture because you have these roots in another dialects and things. So now you're just trying to be part of the culture without trying to be part of the culture. So now when I go back to Colombia, you're also like behind all the culture, all the world words or las palabras and like all the things that they're saying. You're like, oh, ¿qué es eso? Like, what is that? So it's like a fitting of people and fitting of like shows and movies and stuff like that. So that's why you need to be so careful of what you put in your mind and your brain. At least for me, that's one of the biggest things why I'm so careful with music and so careful with movies. Because whatever I catch, like I don't want to say things or like I don't want to store those things in my head. So music is a big red flag for me, whether it's English or Spanish. I do love my reggaeton and my my things. So I just need to be really careful and not store them too much. Because I do want to have pure thoughts. I do want to be just a good steward of my memory and just the things that are coming through my lenses, through my ears, through my head. So uncomfortable. Asking people questions of things that I don't know makes me really uncomfortable because you don't want to look dumb. Like, you already look dumb because you don't know how to pronounce a question, or you already feel dumb because you don't know what that thing is. So then you Google it, and then sometimes you don't need to Google some things because sometimes people be wilding and saying some things. So sometimes it's just really embarrassing just to ask questions. So I think, like, I don't know if this happens to everybody, but I just start like just kind of laughing and say like, okay, and just dismissing it. Like, I don't need to know what that means, and just kind of assuming that I understand. But I just keep walking, or I just either walk away or just go with the flow. Or if I don't understand anything, I'm just like, meh, I don't need to know whatever I needed to say. Please have good friends. Please have good friends. I think like creating this awareness is like one of the biggest things that I want to do, because you do need people around you. Do you need people around you like building you up, but also you need people that understands like where you're coming from, understands why you say the things that you say, like why the context is the context that you're giving, or like why like you just act certain ways. So like just having people around you that is understanding of your mind is so important. But also just do not be afraid of just speaking out. You are going to sound funny. Va a sonar chistoso. It's going to sound ridiculous sometimes. And yes, people might make fun of you. But the reality is like, you're speaking 2 languages, sometimes 3 languages, sometimes even 5 languages. So just the fact that people is making fun of you because you don't know what to say is because you have literally 5 different things in your mind going through your brain. So don't be scared of just speaking up. Don't be scared of just not saying things right. And just speak up. If they make fun, they'll make fun. If not, it's fine. You just keep talking and have the conversation going. And also just know that you are worthy, you are loved, you are seen, you are welcome. And if people is making fun of you, like those are not your people. But sometimes they are your people and they're going to make fun of you because they love you. And that's totally fine. It's fun. It's fine. That's who you are. And you're carrying so much inside of you. You're carrying 2 cultures inside of you. You're literally, you're living 2 different similar realities at the same time. So be proud of that. Be proud of who you are in your Latina culture. Be proud of who you are in your American culture. Be proud of like your parents that had just done so much for you. Be proud of your next generation too, because at the end of the day, like what you're putting into this world is what you're gonna sow and reap out of this world too. So be proud of your roots. Be proud of the person that you are, and I will be talking more about that in my roots and my process and how I just got here. But it's been tough. It's been a tough process, and it's been tough to just kind of know who I am and not being embarrassed and just walking in the authority and the identity that I am. Is I'm Latinoamericana. And it's beautiful just to see how the growth and the impact that you can have when you actually assume and just walk in confidence who you are as a whole. So I'm walking in Maria Alejandra Méndez Piedrahita, not just Ale or Male or Alejita, just Maria Alejandra Méndez Piedrahita. That's my full name. And that's all of me. No, everyone is Mexican. That's a reality. No todos los que hablamos español somos mexicanos. No, everyone that speaks Spanish is Mexican. So let me say that really loud and clear. I'm Colombian, so I'm from Latin America. There's people from Mexico, so from the Central America. So that's Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Mexico. Creo que esos son todos. I think that's all. Y latinoamericanos que son Colombia, Ecuador, Perú, Brazil. Brazil is Portuguese, but Brazil. Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, Argentina, Paraguay, Venezuela. And it's beautiful and it's great. So not everyone is Mexican. So also, not all the things are going to sound the same. So it's so funny when a Central America says something and in Latin America sounds completely different, like the word that it is. Even like the difference between having a word in Colombia and Argentina, they're completely different words. So it's just even interesting to be in a whole world where all these people is in just one place and trying to speak your language or your own dialects and just finding that you're literally just cussing somebody at something because you don't even know that means. So it's just so interesting and so funny. So there's going to be a lot of that too. A lot of like finding new words and finding new meanings of all the things and just trying not to get offended by anything, but also just laugh and just bridge that multicultural gap and just bring in all the cultures together. Todas las culturas, todos los países latinoamericanos, centroamericanos, España, todos, just bring them all together and say like, hey, somos todos uno, todos somos uno, uno somos todos, we are all together. That's the whole goal. It's just bring them all together and just talk about it because it's fun and it's good and we are good and we're fun. So we're gonna have fun doing this. Accents are a whole thing because not many people has proper English. Not many people has just regular English. Not many people has just regular English. Just the same in Spanish. No todo el mundo tiene just regular Spanish. No todo el mundo tiene just the most proper Spanish. And I think at this point, I just learned to just go with the flow. Either ignore it, either pay too much attention, or just like, what did you say? Just being confused and being okay with being confused. And just keep going. Just keep laughing. And just, if you can't understand, just kind of I don't understand. And then ask your friends, what did you just say? Just ask the people around you. It's fine. They will understand. They will completely understand what you're talking about, what you're saying. We're bringing us together so we can understand and have perspectives of all the different perspectives that are around the world, around the states, around all the countries. Because we don't understand everything. We don't know everything. And that's the beauty. It's just learning to know and learning to understand where we're going, where we're coming from, and where we stand right now. I don't know if I have favorite words. I actually have a trauma with words because I have a trauma because sometimes I'm trying to say something fun or something and people make fun of me. So it's I don't like that. I don't want to say that anymore. But a favorite word. Okay. It's not going to be my favorite word, but it's going to be the words that I can't say. So I can't say playa in English. I can't say beach because that I can't exactly. I can't. So I say playa or ocean. So I don't want to say the bad word, okay? My brother and sister make fun of my mom all the time, so I don't want to say it all the time. So I just try to say yeah, I'm going to the ocean. I'm going on an adventure to another country. Another one. I don't know. I have a really thick accent, so.
About culture.
I really enjoy, and I don't know if this is maybe church culture, and I don't know if this is just American culture, but I just really enjoy just gathering and how much people gathers here. In Colombia, we gather in as family and but in the atmosphere where I was before, it was just we're drinking or we need to party in order to have fun or stuff like that. And when I moved here, it was just really cool just to see how people just gathers just to play games, just hang out, just just watch a movie. We would just watch a movie so many times. It was just fun and it was just really cool. Or just game nights, just bringing people together and stuff. And of course, food is always a thing, right? And but it just is, I think that's one of my favorite things. Is yeah, people just gathers around the table so many times, and it's just given. You will encounter people that wants to hang out, and if not, you will encounter people that want to hang out, but they're not saying it. So just make a point just to hang out with people and making them feel welcome and seen and loved. What we're talking about in this podcast. So I grew up watching Disney Channel and all these series in Spanish because they were translated in Spanish, right? So I watched all of these movies, High School Musical, That's So Raven. I watch all this Disney everything in Spanish. So now when I come here and people are just talking about these things, I'm singing Hakuna Matata, una forma de ser, Hakuna Matata. People won't understand it. What you're saying, Hakuna Matata. What? So it's just different things that I've seen all my childhood in Spanish, and now is seeing it completely different as an adult. It's oh, all of that is stored in my other side of the brain in a language that you might not know, and now I need to accommodate to this whole language that I know, but it's not. It doesn't sound the same. It's lame because it sounds better in Spanish. It sounds a lot better. Hakuna Matata, una forma de ser. Can you sing it in English? I don't even know how it goes in English. Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. It means no worries for the rest of your days. Man. Hakuna Matata. Una forma de ser. Anyways, sounds better in Spanish. Sounds a lot better in Spanish. When people mispronounce my name, it's really funny and really annoying at the same time. Because, first and foremost, I already cut my whole name just to give you a little way out. You call me Ali. I cut Maria, Alejandra, Esperaita. So it's just really interesting. And when I'm telling you Alejandra, Alejandra, at the same time just gives me perspective of like how people feels when I mispronounce something, right? And I want to make sure that I'm giving you the tools for you to understand me, but also pronounce my name well. So like some things that I do is literally saying like, how do you pronounce that? Like Alejandra, like Alejandra, Alejandra, or you can just do Alexandra, but just exchange the X for the J. So that's like helping other person just to say my name. Another one is if you know my name, is like, oh, have you heard Lady Gaga's song Alejandro? Just exchange the O for the A. It's at Alejandra. Oh, so I have gotten a lot of that too. So it's just helping people just to understand where you're coming from, but also understand people to just know where you're going or where you're from or where you're at. And it's funny. Yes, you might make fun. Yeah. Have I made fun of? Yes, it's fine. But the honest question or answer is like, I know who I am. I know that I'm not Alejandra. I'm not Alejandra. I'm not Ali. But I'm Ali, Alejandra, or Maria Alejandra. I'm all of them. So I know who I am. And that's what matters at the end of the day. Like if you know who you are and you know like people is not just making fun of you and you just take it as an offense, that's the goal. Don't take it as offense. It's just help people just to learn and to understand the cultural aspect of you're in a whole new place, in a whole new way that people don't know where you're from. So help them understand where you're coming from. I think it's one of the most rewarding things that can happen because if you know me, you know that I like to travel. If you don't know me, I love to travel. And one of the reasons why is that it just expands your mind to whole different cultures, to a whole different ways of doing life, to a whole different way of like living. And it just brings perspective and knowledge and just enriches your soul and enriches like who you are as a person because it expands your territory, expands your mindset, and expands your vision. So for me to teach you what I do in Colombia or how I do it in Colombia or what I used to do in Colombia when I was in Colombia is just a way to bring in my culture or like bringing you into my world. And that's what I'm doing right now. And that's what I want to do right now is bringing you, that you're in the other side of the camera, to bring you into my world and just give you perspective and give you like just tools to understand, but also to be understood or also just to be seen, just to be welcome and just to be loved. Like at the end of the day, that's the goal for you to love, see, and welcome everybody into your life, into your table, into your couch. This is my favorite couch. So welcome into my life. So I'm just going to give you my life so you can just do whatever you need to do with my life and my example. Not even my example, but just like my stories. I love storytelling. So anyways, that's a little bit of what this podcast is going to be. There's a little bit of the place and there's a little bit of everything, but I'm a little bit of everything too. So it's going to be fun. Stay tuned. Just be here, be square. If not, nos vemos pronto.